And I think everything is smooth sailing from this point.
Cool.
Here we are. We are here doing a thing.
Talking.
Let me tell you what. We're going to hold this cheers for 1 second.
Okay.
And let's do this intro. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes, and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home, and as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. From one Brian to another. Cheers.
Cheers.
That was a little bit of a harsh fade out. That's one thing I haven't gotten quite good at.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoy being able to do everything on the fly, not having to drop it in post. But there's been some times where it
happens, it's
one
organic.
time I completely forgot to turn. It was just going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gotta
It's
get
organic.
it together.
It's organic.
Gotta
It's
get it
good.
together. But I'm sitting here today with Brian Cottington.
You got it.
I pronounced it
You
right.
pronounced it perfect.
Thank you.
You gotta understand something, man. Like I have been dealing with mispronunciations of my name since I was 7.
Okay, what's one that really sticks out?
Okay, so this is a scenario. Okay.
Okay.
I was in 7th grade and it was in gym class, and the gym teacher, literally for the entire year, mispronounced my name a different way every single time.
Ooh.
He went from Cottingham.
Okay.
Which that's a common one. Like that's one that I usually get.
That sounds like a name.
It is. It's English.
It's a little Peter
it's
Rabbit.
Either way,
Maybe
it's English.
Cotting. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But either way, like it's either Cottingham or he went all the way to like Cottington. And I'm like, how the hell do you do that?
Why would that be anybody's name ever?
It kind of reminds me of you're a child of the 90s, so
Yeah.
you get this. Remember the movie Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Remember how the coach in that movie constantly mispronounced the lead's name all the time? Called him like Rosengardner and then Rodigan.
You know,
and it was all over the place. And that's just what it reminded me of.
Yeah. I mean, I would be fibbing if I told you I remembered that specific.
I'm a movie guy.
No,
We always
totally.
go to movies.
I watched Rookie of the Year when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I also spent 3 of my best working years as a key manager of Blockbuster Video.
No shit.
When Blockbuster was still a thing.
Oh, I was going to say,
So,
am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Fuck yeah.
Okay,
Totally.
good. I always have to ask that because a lot of people, they like give you faces.
Swear words.
I appreciate
Fuck
that.
yeah. This is a cursing friendly
That's
podcast.
good. I mean, my podcast is also very cursing friendly, so
nice.
we have no.
So yes, you can swear, but I have this insane recollection now of VHS covers, DVD covers.
Amazing stuff.
I can look at the spine of something and
Yeah.
I know what it is just from being at Blockbuster. And
What-
I'm the same way now with records too.
I got to ask you this question.
Yeah, sure.
From one person who loves movies to another person who worked in it.
From one Brian to another.
From one Ryan to another. What is your absolute favorite VHS cover?
Ooh, that is raw. All right.
I mean, I know it's your show and all.
No. We can
I'm just
start
curious.
here.
I'm just
Before
curious.
I answer this question, I do want to get into
Okay.
Brian Cottington
Yes.
of the Cinema Psychos show.
Boom.
It's a podcast. It's about movies
Yep.
and things. Brian is a independent filmmaker
Yes, I
that
am.
does movies and things. He likes movies and things. And we're going to talk about movies and things. Movies and things. So, to answer your question,
Yeah.
my favorite VHS cover off the top of my head right now. Okay, so I have there's this it's an old really bad slasher movie called 3 on a Meat Hook.
That sounds amazing.
And I have it's like a big box. I have the tape. It was my uncle's.
Yeah.
And he was a big movie collector. And this VHS cover used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. Because if you look at it now, it's like this real corny artwork. I could probably pull it up. So let me see if I can look it up.
I gotta see this.
It used to
B
scare
movies are like my absolute
it used to
favorite.
scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. But, as I got older and I got more into, heavy metal and all that stuff. And now it's just fucking hysterical to me. So, yeah, actually, easily enough, I was able to find the cover. We could put it up on here.
Oh, you can throw it up on there. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the 3 on a Meat Hook
is
cover.
awesome.
The one thing I haven't quite figured out is adjusting the brightness with the camera.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Not too bad. That's
fine.
That's good.
So, yeah, you can Google 3 on a Meat Hook. So, off the top, prime candidates for murder. I'm gonna say that's a good VHS cover. Another one that sticks out to me is The Changeling.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's that's an awesome movie, really highly underrated, overlooked ghost movie, and has a really cool ominous just cover.
Yeah,
because that was one of those ones from my Blockbuster days.
Yeah,
when I knew nothing about it, and just like I would always see the cover, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And like I was working at Blockbuster in early 2000s, so internet was a thing, but it wasn't like you can't
really
take two
movies.
steps, without it. So information, like whenever I was working at Blockbuster, we had a book that was had like directors and movies, and you could look up stuff. And I remember being very into like, man, I really like that movie Reanimator, and then like, okay, like Stuart Gordon, okay, like he makes movies. What movies has he made? And like looking him up in the book, and then special ordering weird Stuart Gordon stuff, and fucking whoever else, you know what I mean, other 80s
Brian
guys.
Yuzna.
Yeah, sure. Like I'd special order their movies from other Blockbusters so I can rent them and stuff like that. Yeah. So I will say, it's hard for me nowadays to call myself like a cinephile, if you will. But the stuff that I watched, when I was growing up and into my like early 20s, like really stuck with me. I watched a lot of stuff. Now I just like all I do is like make stuff. I don't really engage with stuff too much anymore.
I watch a lot of TV now.
Okay.
And honestly, like that might be like the cardinal sin of a filmmaker is you're watching TV instead of, watching movies. And for me, it's a matter of I've seen some really amazing TV come out for like, Netflix and Hulu's they're out there. And Amazon Prime.
Totally.
Like I'm right now I'm watching Handmaid's Tale and Nosferatu. Have you seen that one? It's on AMC. It has Zachary Quinto as a vampire. Okay. But he's not a traditional vampire. He's like one that like it's really screwed up, and it's based on the book. And it's spelled Nosferatu with a 4 and an A like a license plate. Okay. So it's really amazing stuff. And I'm finding that the stories that you're getting out of a lot of the TV, and I think it's probably because of shows like Mad Men and The Walking Dead that have basically like pushed the limit of what you can put on TV. So the stories are really engaging. That's honestly what I look for in films and TV is the engaging stories.
I think that it has been hard for me as well to really lock in or find a movie that just like compelled me enough to watch it. Yeah. It wasn't just like popcorn bullshit.
Yeah. It's hard.
I recently, I just tried watching Solo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And like, it's
I'm
just,
so sorry.
It was just, I just fell asleep 2 nights in a row.
I'm surprised you were able to see through all of the brown color grade that was thrown over the whole damn movie.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's worse than Batman v Superman.
Sure,
in that regard.
Yeah, I actually didn't see Batman v Superman.
You're not missing much.
But I did hear that it was kind of like a dark movie, not dark in tone, but just dark.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of that. And actually, like, I watched it with my wife. We watched it in the theater because, she was like, well, let's go give it a chance. I'm like, well, I'll give it a chance. And it was when I was naive to think that Ben Affleck could be Batman and that sort of thing. And then I watched it. And, like, it was one of those times where I don't know if we come out of the theater, you're just like, you got to let it sit for a little bit before you can really talk about it. But we came out of that theater, we were just like, man, that was bad.
Yeah, I remember.
And I even tried to, like, say, oh yeah, it's good, see? And then it just kept, my wife was just hammering like, it's bad. You can't pretty this up.
Yeah, a filmmaker that I absolutely loved in my younger years, and now I like have a really hard time struggling with is Luc Besson.
Yeah. Fifth Element's amazing.
Oh, dude, it's in my top 5 easily.
Even the Joan of Arc movie he did is really good.
Yeah, that dude, all of his early stuff I really like. There's like that
Professional.
Yeah, it's like
so good.
It's like there was like an element to his movies. If it was like if Tarantino was less of a pervert and more of a nerd.
If Tarantino had some, like, he took it down a couple notches, basically.
Sure. Yeah, I think that like he's a pervert. You know what I mean? He's a violence pervert. He's a race pervert.
Yeah, he is.
He's a pervert.
He kind of is.
And also, nothing against. I think that I like his films, but
don't get me wrong, me too.
But it's so indulgent in like the worst possible elements of the human, like, what you could find entertaining. Like he really walks a tightrope.
Yeah, he does. I mean, one of my favorites of his is Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah,
just because it's like, I want to see Hitler get shot up. Why not?
Sure.
I was clapping in the theater. I was like, yeah.
I love Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown's really good. I'd say that's his most subdued version of himself.
Probably.
Even though you've got like Robert De Niro and was it Bridget Fonda?
Yeah.
And he's like horrible to her. He shoots her too, but that's his most subdued movie in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it has like a really good flow. I mean, Pulp Fiction's great. It's so fun. And I mean,
everyone loves Pulp Fiction.
Reservoir Dogs, I don't like as much as other people like, but I get it. And then the Kill Bills are great. I mean, it's honestly probably been about a decade since I've watched Reservoir Dogs, though. I might appreciate it more now.
For me, it's been about 5 years. And that's kind of what I do is when I see a movie, especially it takes some time for me to watch that movie again.
Yeah.
Like I own Reservoir Dogs. I also own Pulp Fiction, but I don't watch them all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a repeat watch. It's like kind of like when you break out a fine wine, you're like, yeah, it's been aging in there for about 10 years. I haven't drank it, in about, 5 years. Let's go break it out again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, Reservoir Dogs is an inspiration as a filmmaker because you're looking completely at someone who has, beer, hindrances in front of them. And you're seeing a filmmaker deal with every one of those problems and the end result of it. And that's honestly where you get really amazing film is when you have hindrances, when you don't have the money, when you've only got the actors working for a couple days and then they're gone for something like that. Because he had a bunch of really big actors at the time. Harvey Keitel, he was established. Same with Steve Buscemi. I mean, he was established at that time too. Not as big as he got later on.
Yeah.
But, you've got all these people in there. How do you deal with all of them?
I think that it would have been really cool to see Reservoir Dogs, when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Pulp Fiction isn't a thing.
Yeah.
And if I was like, 17 or 18, old enough to get it, if I would have seen it, that would have been insane.
Yeah.
My uncle, who I mentioned before, was a big movie collector. And before I forget, the whole reason I brought any of this up was you were talking about, seeing a movie and walking out and feeling like about it.
Yeah.
The last movie that I was really stoked for and I went and I saw it and I walked out of the theater just feeling dirty was Lucy.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah. Like, for me, I liked it the first time I watched it, and then I thought about it.
How was the thing? Like, me and the person that I saw it with, like, we were just like really dumbfounded by like what we saw, and like I was really hyped on the cast and all the like everybody that was associated with this film. I was like, there's no reason why I'm not gonna like this movie.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson and Luc Besson. How bad could it be?
But
and it disappointed you.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out. It didn't quite hit the mark. So yeah, and then what else? Scarlett Johansson was in another cool movie, Under the Skin. Was that?
I haven't seen that one.
Was it Under the Skin or In the Skin or something like that? Was she in that? I think that was her. It's like a weird. Oh man, that movie's gnarly. I got to make sure I'm thinking about that right. But
gotta love IMDb for this.
So with you getting into all of these movies, and I imagine now it's like really hard for you to watch movies because maybe it's easier in some regards because you understand it from a technical perspective, but it also makes it a lot harder to just watch something to watch it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like I don't know. I mean, there's some movies now that I love that if I feel like, okay, one movie that I really, really like just from being, the first time I saw it, I was like 15, was Donnie Darko.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it is as good as a movie as my 15-year-old self thinks it is.
Yeah.
It was Richard Kelly, right? Donnie Darko?
I believe. I'd have to look at IMDb,
I think that was Richard Kelly. And
I don't think he did the sequels.
No, he didn't. I never saw them. My girlfriend insists that S. Darko is actually pretty cool, but I have not seen it.
Can't convince me of that.
That's how I feel too. But she doesn't have a bad taste in movies, so I feel like I should definitely take her word on it. Oh yeah, so Under the Skin, 2013, Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, that is correct.
I don't think I saw that one.
It was It's actually a pretty weird movie. It's worth watching if you've never seen it.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out.
Check that one out.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
It's really.
That's my recommendation for. You got to see it.
I love the sound effects. You gotta understand, like, we don't have sound effects on my show.
All right, yeah, cool. All right, let's wheel this back in just a bit. We mentioned that you do the Cinema Psycho show, and before we get into another 45 minutes of just ranting about movies and stuff, which this is great because I'm usually talking to people about music or video games, and I know that you like music. You probably like video games too. I think we're probably in the same age range.
Truth be told, I haven't played video games in a long time.
Yeah, see, I haven't either.
I appreciate them.
Okay, yeah,
But
I'm
I haven't
1,000%. All right, so after we're gonna pick this up with something video game and movie related. After you just talk about your podcast for a couple minutes.
Sure,
let the people know.
Okay, so the Cinema Psycho Show is a podcast that I came up with back into 2016, and it was mainly because of the fact that, as most people know, making a movie is tough. Even a short film.
Yeah.
Is a lot of work. And I use that as kind of like, making movies, like making art, making music, making, any sort of thing like that. It's therapy. So when you are concerned with, okay, I don't have the money to make a short film, I don't have the money to even try to make a feature, to try to get the crew together and everything, it's like, well, I need to have some sort of outlet. So I was reading an article by Kevin Smith. And he had Kevin Smith. Yeah.
Who's that?
Kevin Smith. You don't know who Kevin Smith
is?
I was gonna be like, for real? You're sitting here talking about nerd shit, and you're going like, I don't know who Kevin Smith is.
No, I'm just
you're wearing a Nerf shirt. Come on, man. So anyway, Kevin Smith was talking about how podcasts for him with his Smodcast series basically serves as like a distribution channel for his work. So when he's working on something, he can say, hey, you know what? I've got this podcast going, and basically get his work to an already established audience. I'm like, that's an awesome idea. And I had done some audio stuff beforehand. Years ago, I worked with another filmmaker. His name is Johnny Daggers. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
It's a cool name, though.
Yeah, it's not his real name.
Porn?
No.
That's a great porn name.
It is, but no, that's not his real name.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's just the name that he went by, and he made horror movies, and we both kind of partnered up for a time, and he had this awesome idea of doing a internet radio show. And it wasn't a podcast. It wasn't on iTunes. It wasn't that. It was just like, hey, we're going to go live. We're going to do live internet radio. And it was a pain in the ass. But it got me exposed to audio storytelling. So we ran that for like 100 episodes. And, I loved it. And I'd been a couple of years since I had done that. And I'm like, what? We try this podcast thing. So I didn't want it to just be me, because like me talking about something for an hour, I think gets boring. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I had like, co-hosts that I can bounce ideas and basically make it like a conversation about movies, like a bunch of people getting together and talking about movies. So I contacted two of my friends who went to grad school together in the film program. Yeah. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this idea? We kind of open it up as like everybody talks about movies. We review one movie, we talk about it. It's kind of no holds barred, and it kind of grew from there. We're now at, I think, 142 episodes, and we've tried to maintain a weekly type show.
It's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah. And like life changes happened between 2016 and now. So like we're kind of unofficially doing every other week. Yeah. In the summer, it's a lot harder.
Bro,
but
I'm uploading 2 times a week right now.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. I put up 3 episodes this week.
Here's the thing, man. Like, I see you putting your episodes up. I'm like, where the hell does he find the time?
The Rodecaster helps.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was looking at this. I'm like, man, I gotta get that. Yeah. So, like, generally, my co-host, John and Elaine Woolscroft, they're a married couple. They're hilarious.
Nice.
Like, they're hilarious, and they're also film people. So what was nice about it was, like, we didn't want the podcast to be a, like film spotting. I don't know if you ever listened to that podcast, but it's like an NPR type film thing where it's like a bunch of film, we call them film twats. Okay. A bunch of film twats. The film.
Only movie that's not even a podcast, but the only movie people online that I follow is Red Letter Media.
Fair enough. We're more like them.
Yeah.
But we try to approach it from kind of having a balance of, we're all filmmakers, like my co-hosts are filmmakers as well as myself.
Yeah.
And we want to approach it from a critical standpoint, but also, have comedy in it too. So we kind of try to strike a balance. And sometimes it's more one or the other. But we pretty much
depends on what you're talking about.
It depends.
Sure.
Like we did a Batman episode and my co-host brought up how the Batmobile looks like a dick. And he's right, it does.
Sure.
But the whole time we're talking about, the story structure of it too. So that's pretty much how the podcast came to be. And we just pretty much kept at it where we did 100 episodes. We had a live show and we're trying to do more live shows, which are fun.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much about it.
Yeah.
On top of that, I make my own short films and I was working with Marissa McCobb's Atrocity Exhibition. You familiar with them?
Yes, I am.
So I made all of their opening films.
Awesome.
Every one of the films that you saw at that show, that was me.
Cool.
So working with them has pretty much allowed me to do.
Those are the people that are associated with the Weeping Glass.
Yes.
Correct? In Allentown?
Yes.
Okay. So if you are somebody that is familiar with Allentown, Black Forge Coffee House, shout outs, Onion Maiden, shout outs, Skull Record, shout outs. There's also the Weeping Glass up there, which you probably are familiar with. And so that's the same group of people.
It's the same group of people. So working with them basically allowed me to make a short film every year because they gave me a theme and it gave me enough hindrances to allow me to be creative, which is again what I'm getting back to is independent filmmakers kind of need those restrictions.
And tying into music, you mentioned that you have worked with Venus and Furs as
yes,
well.
I did their green music video series.
They're friends of the podcast. Michael has been on the show.
Yeah, he's great.
And Robbie, I'm afraid if I get him on, I'm just never going to get him off. He's going to fucking talk for 10 hours. Shout outs to Robbie. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he is good.
No, he's going to come on sometime for sure.
That's cool.
So that's awesome. And that's a good plate of work that you've been doing.
I tried to.
Yeah.
I tried to.
I think
my wife tells me I need to branch out from doing like horror things. I'm like, but it's so fun.
So I'll do a scary music video.
I did. Here's the thing, man. Like I don't know about you, but I listened to their album before they released it, and they were just like, okay, what do you think in terms of music video? And I'm like, all right, let me listen to those. So I listened to literally every track on my way to work multiple times of the week. And I came up with this story idea of, basically this vampire and, this love triangle type thing going on and discovering the person's a vampire. So like that's what I read into their lyrics and they loved it. And of course, Michael's like, okay, I think you need to have a kid get, bitten in this video too. I'm like, why? It's like, cuz. I'm like, all right, cool. You gonna find me a kid? And he did. So it ended up working.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You need a top off yet? You good?
I'm good right now. Yeah, man.
All right, you let me know. Don't hesitate to ask. We got plenty more beer in the fridge. Okay. That's literally the tagline of the show.
That's the tagline of the show, beer in the fridge.
If I don't hold up to that, then we are fucked. Yes, beer and soda in the fridge, all right?
Awesome.
So, continuing with our chat.
Yeah.
Video games.
Video games.
Movies. Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. Have you seen that trailer?
That hurt. That hurt so much, but it does not surprise me.
No, fuck no.
In the least bit. Because let's look at the track record here. Let's look at the track record here of video game adaptations into movies.
All right.
If we go all the way back to Super Mario Brothers.
When's the last time you watched that?
It was at least in the 2000s.
I watched it this past year.
Oh, really?
And I loved it.
Oh, God.
But I loved it in the way that, like, you love cheese fries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
don't love it when you go to the bathroom an hour later.
It's completely off the rails.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like... It's like drugs.
I often wonder,
how did this fucking happen?
I often wonder because I have 3 stepsons and I have the youngest, my baby, just turned 1.
Ooh,
and
congratulations!
I wonder.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I wonder, not knowing any of the context of the Super Mario Brothers video games, what they would think of that movie. Because I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the reason why people dislike it so much. Is because in their heads, like people who are our age, we know the story of Super Mario Brothers. We've played, those games all over the place. And when we see the movie, we're like, that is not
I think why I love it is because it leans so hard into that like early 90s dystopia cyberpunk thing that was going on. Like it was like Johnny Mnemonic.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I fucking love that movie.
That movie.
And like this, and then like fucking Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, the second one.
Great movie. I'm looking forward to the third one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And then, which speaking of Alex Winters,
Yeah.
I just recently found out about a movie he made in the 90s called Freaked.
Oh my God, that's an amazing film.
I've never seen it, but
you have to see that movie.
It's on my list.
Keanu is in that too.
Oh, is he?
He plays a dog. I'm not joking. He literally plays a dog.
Dude, I want to watch it so
The Dog
bad.
Man.
Whenever I found out about it, I was like, how did I not know
Randy Quaid.
this exists?
Yeah.
So
as a mad scientist, hillbilly.
It's
yeah,
on
great.
my list. That shit is so up my alley, like all that stuff. And the Super Mario Brothers movie, it falls into that category.
Yes.
It's one of those fucking movies.
It is.
So that's why I was watching it and I was like, oh, like, yeah, this is a bad Mario movie, but this is an awesome, weird, early 90s, just gross movie.
And that's, I think, the thing is it
It's
depends
like
on how you
Recall
approach
for kids.
That, you know what? That is a seriously a great approach to it. I never thought of it as Total Recall for kids. It even has head weird things that happen.
Exactly.
In it. So it's like, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Get you Astamas.
But not to derail the conversation.
Sure.
Video game movies. All right, so you had Super Mario Bros.,
Yes.
which at the time, I mean, it is a shit show, but in my later years, I've come to appreciate it.
Do you know the behind the scenes of that movie?
No.
To make a long story short, it was a shit show from the very beginning. They hired a husband and wife team that did not know anything about filmmaking, and everyone on the set hated them. Bob Hoskins was drunk.
Shout out to Bob Hoskins, by the way.
Yeah, R.I.P. Bob Hoskins was drunk on the set, and just it literally got to the point where the production company like wanted to fire the directors because of how shitty of a job they were doing.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like, it's you can find documentaries of it on YouTube.
Okay.
Just retrospectives on the whole behind the scenes
Yeah,
of how bad that movie is.
I think I may have briefly watched some of one that the Gaming Historian did.
Yeah.
There's a I really like his channel, but I don't think I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. I watched one on what the fuck happened to this movie. I think that's the series. And they did it on Super Mario Brothers, and they went literally deep into all
that's
of the
awesome.
shit.
Hell yeah.
Of how bad that production was. So it's not surprising me. But if you go down the line, and every single time they've tried to adapt, like they did Double Dragon.
Yeah, Double Dragon. I need to watch Double Dragon again.
Yeah.
I need to watch Street Fighter again.
Street Fighter's nostalgia. I have a very it's a terrible film. Don't get me wrong.
I have a huge soft spot for the Mortal Kombat movies.
I like the first one. I saw the second one in the theater, and I was just like, "What the hell happened?"
It's so bad, but I still I pass it again as like. Actually, no, it's worse than nachos. But it's still okay. It's like it's some sort of really bad junk food.
I'd say that movie and what the hell other movie is it that he did? Shit, I'm forgetting it. It's Lawrence Fishburne. He's in space. You ever seen it? You know what I'm talking about? That's Hellraiser in space, basically.
Okay, yeah.
I'm blanking on the actual title of it.
Yeah,
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon, or
yeah.
I was like, what is it? It goes for Mars. No, that's not that one.
No. But Mortal Kombat and Event Horizon are probably Paul W.S. Anderson's best films.
Okay.
Period. He doesn't need to make any more.
I love that first Mortal Kombat movie. I think that so much of it has to do with my attachment to it, though, because when it came out, it was perfect timing for me and being like the right age. I loved the game. Yeah. I loved all of the music that was in the game or in the movie and like I was just so in. Like that movie was made for me.
Well, I think the success of that film is the fact that the filmmakers and the writers actually looked at the source material.
Oh, sure.
They looked at the game. And you could say, well, this is just a fighting game. But I mean, they looked at it from a standpoint of, okay, how do we adapt this into a story?
They weren't just throwing it.
The characters look like the characters. The atmospheres all look like the atmospheres in the game. You know, that's the thing I think with video game films is that if you're not getting that right, then everything's off. You know, like it's all out there. So, but with Sonic, Is it so hard? Is it so hard to just play Sonic the Hedgehog and just say, okay, what levels do we have in this game? Okay, maybe we can build scenes around that. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
They just make it way too difficult.
Yeah. No, it's like I would go like, okay, what do we do? You know, if you want to make it Hollywood, Sonic is an alien, Area 51, not too far from Nevada. You got the casino zone from Sonic. And,
yeah, there you go.
You know, and you blend all that together. And but I don't know.
I never understood
it just seems so unnecessary.
And then why give him human features? Seriously. You already have a template.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. I think that they probably did this in a budget that they're going to make money. And
that's the thing.
And they know that they're going to make more money if they troll versus doing what fans want.
Well, I mean, the thing is that visual effects and animators are notoriously underpaid. I could tell you that right now.
Oh, totally, yeah.
They're notoriously underpaid.
Oh, yeah.
You ever see the movie Sausage Party?
No.
Okay, the
I'm
Seth
aware
Rogen
of it,
film.
Yeah.
So the story broke once that film came out that the producers of that film, not Seth Rogen in particular, but like the production company behind it, were forcing their animators to work overtime and making it seem like you could be replaced at any moment in just really harsh working conditions. And the thing is like they were like, oh, well, this is horrible for this movie. It's like, no, that's across the board. You know, this is horrible, but VFX artists, animators, they're not paid very well.
I'll tell you this. Okay, so this is my 2 cents to your comment, and it actually ties in very serendipitously. You know what I'm saying.
You got it.
With the beginning of this conversation, when you asked me what my favorite VHS cover is.
Yeah.
I think there is no greater testament to how disregarded artists and graphic designers in the movie industry are than VHS artwork of the 70s, 80s, up to DVD, Blu-ray covers of today.
It's horrible.
And just how you could tell how quickly everything is thrown together because they're getting paid pennies and they're asked to rush these jobs. So like, whatever, I don't care.
I think,
what is this? This Poltergeist? Okay, let me get like an old picture of Drew Barrymore and throw Comic Sans on it. And then there we go.
I think part of it has to do with the fact that back in the day, you had the VHS cover art pretty much done before even the movie was filmed, before it was cast. You know, like that's what a lot of people don't understand is like you have these really iconic pieces of VHS artwork. Like you look at Nightmare on Elm Street. No one knew what Freddy was going to look like. That's why the artwork is so all off the wall. Like part of his face is missing, an eyeball's just there. You know,
even some of the old Nintendo games are like that.
Yeah,
where there's like shit on the cover that's not in the game at all.
But the reason that's the case, and I think this is part of it, is because they commissioned the artwork based on the concept.
Yeah,
you know, they didn't have everything nailed down, so that allowed the artist a lot of freedom to be able to basically have fun with it and do what you want and make something that's more representational of the story rather than of, oh, we're featuring this person and that person. You know, and that stuff could be added later. But, you know, like you showed that artwork, and could you tell me if one of those people are the actors in it? No.
I mean, some. I mean, right now, the only thing that's coming to mind is the old Big Trouble in Little China poster, and that is 1,000%.
Oh,
Kurt Russell and Kim Cattrall.
Right.
But I don't even. That was probably done way after the fact.
Oh yeah, but for the most part, you know, that artwork was all done beforehand. Nowadays, and I kind of blame Photoshop for this. And I'm not going to sound like the old man in the yard who's just saying, you know, oh, youngins, not Photoshop. I use Photoshop all the time. So
digital art killed movie posters, dude. I have so many cool. My uncle, who was a movie collector, he was like an avid movie fan his entire life.
Yeah.
And I have a scrapbook. It's like one of my most prized possessions. A scrapbook that he made as a kid where he would cut out all of the old advertisements for movie posters out of the newspaper when he was a kid.
Wow.
So like I'm talking like old, like original, like Creature from the Black Lagoon, all the old Universal stuff, just like, and he like saved all this stuff. So it would be like the advertisements in the newspapers for the movie through the theaters that were showing it.
That's awesome.
It's like a whole book of them. And there's all this awesome artwork.
Yeah.
And I have like books that I've bought just chronicling like old poster art and things like that. And I went through a huge phase with that stuff. And now it's just like, it's so rare to see really cool poster art for a movie unless it's like some super nerd shit and like Mondo's backing it or something like that. You know what I mean?
I met one artist who does do stuff for Scream Factory. His name's Joel Robinson. Have you ever heard of him? Mm-mm. So he did he does a lot of the artwork, and he's like a true artist in that too. I met him when he came to Horror Realm a couple years ago.
Okay.
Horror Realm's a horror film convention in Pittsburgh, and he was just an artist. He hadn't been bought up by anyone yet. And he's gone on to really do these really amazing re-releases of horror movies through like Scream Factory and a lot of these other like indie labels of movies. So he did the hell was it? Nightbreed.
Okay.
When they got the director's cut finally out, he was the artist who was chosen to really create new poster art for that film.
Yeah.
And he's gone on to do a bunch of other ones. So like it's not a dead art. It's just there's only a couple people who are doing it now.
Well, I think that it's dead in terms of like it's just not the norm.
Yes. Mainstream, yes.
It was the norm.
It was
for such a long time. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, you want to talk about a sick VHS cover, Death Spa? You ever see that?
I've never seen that.
Oh, dude, it's the place to get a killer workout.
I've seen Death Bed.
Okay, I don't know that.
The bed that eats. I'm not even kidding. That's actually the tagline of it is Death Bed, the bed that eats. It's from the 70s. It's horrible, but it's so good. Man. My favorite VHS cover art is the Blob.
Okay.
From the late 80s.
We got to pull it up.
And here's the reason why. It's not so much the art itself. It's the gimmick that the company did at the time to kind of sell that movie. So they made it so like they had this plastic wrapping over it that was filled with this blobby goo stuff.
Oh, hell
so
yeah.
You'd grab the VHS cover and it would just move and twist and warp all over the place. Like, that's the most badass thing ever.
I think I have seen that before. I'm
you
trying
worked
to see.
in Blockbuster. I know it was in there. I know Eagle Video had it, which is where I got a lot of
Shout out to
videos.
Eagle Video, bro. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know how to properly Google this. That's okay. I Googled the Blob cover art, liquid cover.
I mean, that first one is pretty much what it looks like.
Oh, okay. Was that it?
It wasn't anything special. It was like something they put over top of it.
Okay, yeah, I got you. But, that's tight. There was I think recently it was one of the vinyl re-releases for maybe Friday the 13th or one of those movies. They did a vinyl re-release of the soundtrack. Yeah. And the record was pressed where it's like liquid filled with like blood.
I've seen that.
And I can't remember what movie it is. I want to say it's Friday the 13th.
It sounds like that'd be a Friday the 13th.
It was I'm pretty sure it was some bullshit that Mondo did. Once again, shout outs to them and all the money they have to just throw at ridiculous things.
They should sponsor your show.
That would be cool. I mean,
shout out to Mondo, sponsor your show.
Yeah, please sponsor my fucking podcast. That'd be cool. I'll put some of your art on the walls that you can't see in here. I have some Mondo posters at the house. I don't have any here. Awesome. I have a.
You need to get some.
I have a Tales from the Crypt.
Nice.
The Goonies, and Kill Bill.
Good.
Mondo posters at the house. They're all in the kitchen.
My posters have been moved to the basement.
Oh, that's really sad.
It's not. It's not. Listen, man, when you have stepsons who are young, it's kind of hard to just put your stuff all over the place. So I'm fine.
I can believe that.
I'm fine.
Were you a collector type growing up?
Yeah.
How's that translated into your older years?
I don't collect nearly as much as I used to. I used to treat. I still kind of do. I treat DVDs and Blu-rays kind of like the same way someone would treat a record, basically.
Yeah.
So in my basement, where all my posters are at and everything, and where my
so when you say it's been moved to the basement, you have
it's up. It's on the walls.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's.
I'm thinking like some like Are You Afraid of the Dark shit?
No, my basement's finished. So So yeah, don't get me wrong.
Then it's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's no longer prominent on the first floor. It's
it's not in the kitchen. I got you.
It's not in the kitchen. I don't think my Army of Darkness poster would really fly in the kitchen very well.
And I'll eat an omelet and look at Ash, dude. Let's fucking do it.
But anyway, I used to collect a lot and be very like, oh, I got to get this, Blu-ray or this DVD. I don't do that nearly as much now. And it's mainly just because, my money needs to go to somewhere else.
Yeah.
So just in my older years, I'm just more responsible with my money when it comes to collections.
Totally. I'm the same way where, I don't have...
But I still have my Blu-rays and DVDs.
Yeah.
Those are
I have a
prominently out.
I have a nice movie collection, records. I still have some toys and shit, but it's just hard. I just don't care anymore. I kind of feel like I have all of the stuff that I wanted. And every once in a while, there's some new stuff that comes along. And if I want it bad enough, maybe I'll get it. But for the most part, it needs to be something that's functional. Like I'll still buy records. I'll still buy a movie. I haven't gotten toys in forever. The last anything close to an action figure I didn't even buy it was a gift from my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Whenever NECA released it was from the first Ninja Turtles movie. They released the baby versions of the Turtles.
Oh, really?
It's like a full set, and they come with like chip bags and big pizzas and stuff.
Awesome.
Like so, when they were like doing like the little dance things, those turtles they did figures.
The
of this.
little babies like before they
they did figures of those, and then when I saw them, I was just like, okay, I have not wanted to buy anything in a long time, but I fucking want these. And I didn't buy them, but she ended up getting them for me for either my birthday or Christmas.
My wife has gotten me Funko Pops.
Okay.
Like I didn't know what the hell a Funko Pop was.
Yeah.
And then we started
Did that get out of control in your house?
Not really, because for me, like, same sort of deal. I don't buy toys anymore. The toys I have on display are pretty much like, I have the NECA Hellraiser. I'm a huge Hellraiser fan.
Hellraiser's tight.
As it's in my top tier of favorite movies.
Okay.
And one of the films that encouraged me to be a filmmaker, if you can imagine that. But like I have like my Pinhead, multiple, I have like a bobblehead, and I have Pinhead action figures and some of the Tortured Soul stuff. I have some of that stuff.
I will admit, with all of my movie like experience and knowledge, Hellraiser's one franchise I never spent a whole lot of time with.
You don't need to spend a whole lot of time with the franchise because it starts to go downhill.
Sure.
I'd say if you can watch...
Is Hellraiser Wes Craven?
No, that's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Hellraiser's Clive Barker.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And Pittsburgh's own Doug Bradley.
Yes. I know Doug Bradley. He guest bartended at a show we played once.
Shit.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I've had dinner with Doug, and I know his girlfriend Steph. So.
Yeah. So like I said, like I'm very I wasn't sure if it was a Wes Craven, Clive Barker. That's right. Yeah, but like I said, I'm just not. What Hellraisers should I watch?
You should watch, in my opinion, 1, 2, 3 if you've had a couple drinks, and half of 4.
Okay, cool.
You don't need to watch anything past that.
Okay.
Because and honestly, if you get down to the nitty gritty of it, the Hellraiser series is kind of like a roller coaster ride where after 4, you just keep plunging and there's no bottom.
Like I know I've seen them, at least some bits and pieces of some, but nothing really stuck with me. And it's always been like, it's one of those things that's been, you ever have something on your to-do list for so long, it just doesn't get done?
Yep.
That's one of those things where like sometimes people are like, I can't believe you've never seen that or done. It's like, I can't fucking watch everything.
And that's the thing. And you can't. You can only do so much. So I would say absolutely watch 1 and 2 because 1 and 2 are really good. 3, if you really love Pinhead and you like hearing his like corpse, because 3, they kind of turned him into Freddy.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird. Like they turn him into more like a slasher.
That seems about right.
That was 90
for the
92.
Time. Yeah,
that was 92.
Yeah.
So it was the towards the end of the slasher film era. So they're kind of trying to milk up as much.
Oh, it's like how every TV show wants to be Stranger Things in one way or another right now.
I just finished Stranger Things season 3.
Me too.
Yeah, it's cool.
We could talk about that in a second. Do you need more beer? You all right?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit.
All right, we're gonna break for beer. Actually, just tell people your social medias where they can find your podcast.
Okay. So you can find more information about the Cinema Psycho Show at cinemapsychoshow.com. That's our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Psycho Show. So if you just type in Psycho Show, or you can just Google us. We're also on basically any sort of a podcasting platform. So iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. We just got put on Pandora. which is pretty cool. Yeah. We're one of the beta rollout of Pandora podcast. So,
Even though this isn't a beer from Allegheny City Brewing, I'm still gonna put this up like that. Shout outs to Penn Brewery. We're drinking the Chocolate Meltdown.
Yeah, very much so.
And shout outs to Allegheny City Brewing. They are right down the street.
Really?
If you have not been there,
I have not been there.
Highly suggested that you visit them. They are one of the most overlooked and underappreciated breweries in the city, and it's one of my favorite spots.
Awesome.
But maybe I'm particular because I live over here, and I don't know. I'm not a big beer nerd. I'm a beer nerd, but not like a beer snob. That's probably a way to put it.
You're not like our friends, the drinking partners.
No, but they're not even that knowledgeable.
They're bigger knowledgeable than I am.
Yeah, I mean, like, I
listen to their podcast.
Huge shout outs to Day and Ed, but they pretty much are for the most part, I think they're happy to try anything that's brought to them. They don't really turn their nose up at anything as far as I know. But what was I going to say? Oh, I just like, I like good beer and nice people, and they make good beer and they're nice people down there. So shout outs to them, and also shout outs to Penn Brewery, which, as I've mentioned before, we are pretty much in Penn Brewery at this point. Much, So, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Season 3.
Yeah.
It's the hot ticket right now. Lots of people are talking about it.
Yeah.
Some people love it. Some people don't get it.
I don't know how you could hate it.
I think the thing... So... What I've gathered from the comments that I've read from people that don't seem to understand it, I think there are people that aren't understanding that part of the reason why you watch it is because you need to tap into that part of being that age.
Absolutely.
And I don't think if you weren't into nerdy sort of shit when you were growing up, you're never going to fully understand that show. No. You're not going to get it. Right. You know, because it's written from that perspective of a nerdy preteen teenager, and pretty much it's written for that demographic.
Yeah.
So if you're a vanilla ass 30-something that never grew up around that, you're not gonna get Stranger Things. It's not for you.
Honestly, yeah, that's pretty much it. That is, it's nostalgia fuel. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. But the fact that it's got a great story with it, that's an added bonus to the nostalgia fuel. And I think that's why it's been able to sustain itself for so long. I will say the one thing that's like kind of, I accept it because they turn it around. So one, I was not a huge fan of some of the things that happened in season 2. Yeah. It was a little wonky. And one of the things that really bugged me about the beginning of season 2 and the beginning of season 3 was just like, it's like, okay, we get it. It's the 80s. Yeah. We get it. Okay, I get it. They really shove it down your throat. They do.
But they really turned it around with the story. And I mean, like, God, it's really funny. It's really gross.
Oh my God.
So gross. I'm going to try to stay spoiler free, but fuck, it is so gross. And it's awesome coming from that. I mean, I like that gross out shit. We were talking about it earlier. I was like, what?
Well, I mean, think about this. What movie came out shortly after 85? The Fly. This is body horror shit 101. This is David Cronenberg crap. Like, that's literally what we're pulling from.
There's so many calls, dude. I was thinking so much. We'll just say the Battle of Starcourt reminded me so much of the End of the Gate. Yeah. Like there's
the gate. I showed that movie to my stepsons.
Yeah, that movie's fucking
so
great, dude. There's no way that they did not have that in mind, especially with the fireworks.
I was waiting for someone to have an eyeball in their hand.
Oh yeah, that would. I was Fright Rags actually just released an enamel pin of the hand with the eyeball.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
that's awesome.
They released some new Gate shirts and stuff too. I have enough fucking t-shirts and I'm not gonna buy any of it, but I like looking at it.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, this is cool. I'm glad that like they're still.
Yeah, no, I liked a lot of the callbacks because I mean they had me right when they had the the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Scenes in there. And then they pulled the soundtrack from it in certain scenes.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my God, you're George Romeroing us right now. This is great. I love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they were a little, they weren't as heavy handed with the nostalgia this time around. I think they pretty much hit you over the head with it in season 2.
Yeah. Season 2 was a lot more like throughout. And then in this one, it got kind of nuanced, but it felt like cool. Like I really liked the way that they did the stuff. They utilized the Star Court with Elle's dress code, like going to the Gap and like getting like all those cool outfits and like how they tricked everybody into having those clothes. Like they snuck it in a way where it was like with Hopper was supposed to go on a date and now he just happens to
looks
be
like Magnum PI.
He happens to be in the silly shirt for the rest of the season now as a result of this date that fell through. And it's like, that's cool. It's like, I appreciate the cute ways to get people to look the part a little better.
Yes. And honestly, like I love Back to the Future, so I love the fact that
they're just ripping on it.
Well, they're just ripping on it. So like, I'm sorry to spoil this, but Steve's like, so wait a minute. I think that guy was wanted to have sex with his mom. Did he seriously do that?
Yeah, I mean that's not really all that much of a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler, but I mean, like that's always been the one crux of being a fan of Back to the Future is like you have to, deal with the fact that yes, there is a little bit of incest in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Which one of the good things and the sometimes cringy things about 80s cinema in particular. Was just like some of the stuff that was okay.
You mean like sex romp comedies? Yeah. No, that's you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I don't think you should.
People do kind of get a little. They're a little bit more sensitive.
Well, I was reading an article the other day about because it's now the 20th anniversary of American Pie coming out.
Okay.
And the article, I know.
Wow.
Don't you feel old?
Yeah, totally.
I felt old. I was like, man, I just started high school when that movie came out.
I guess it makes sense. Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah,
we're old.
So the point is that they were saying how it was with what's her face, the woman,
Shannon Doherty.
Shannon Elizabeth.
Shannon Elizabeth. Oh, yeah. Doherty's the
that's 90210.
90210. Yeah.
But anyway, she was saying how she did an interview for this article, and they were saying how literally you could not make that movie now.
Oh fuck.
Post Me Too, like you couldn't do it. And honestly, the fact that people took that on at that film at the time, it says a lot. Like there is some really like cringeworthy stuff. You're like, really?
It's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie.
Without American Pie, we would not have Scary Movie.
That's
and
true.
I fucking love Scary Movie.
That is true. But I think you have to kind of take a look at these movies in context and say, okay, what time period did this film come out?
Yeah, I think I don't even remember the last time I watched American Pie. I think the only reason I like American Pie is because of Scary Movie.
Yeah.
So
I like American Pie because it led to studios saying, okay, this is too much. Let's try to revamp this. And that's why you get movies like Superbad. Because that was counter to the American Pie type of films.
But Superbad's great too.
Superbad's amazing. I love Superbad. And that was because they wanted a more realistic depiction of teenage life.
Okay.
So like that's kind of the counter to it.
So I'm going to throw a hot potato in your lap here. All right. So while we're talking about people being upset about things, a little bit of a something that has gotten some people upset.
Okay,
has to do with movies.
Okay,
current Disney, Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
they've casted an Ariel that is not a Caucasian redhead.
It's a fucking movie.
How do you feel about this?
I think it's a fucking movie. Get the hell over it.
Sure.
Like that's, I don't care. Like that's my thing is who the hell cares? Like are these people who get on there and go like, oh, well, Ariel should be white. It's a goddamn animated mermaid.
Yeah.
For God's sake. It's a fantasy character. Who cares? I'm not against there being an African-American mermaid. I think that's fine. I want to see the movie now because of this whole thing. So I don't have a problem with it. I think that the people who have a problem with it also are the people who have a problem with. Let me give this here. Where are the people who don't have a problem? Who have a problem with this? Okay.
Yeah.
But they don't have a problem with whitewashing of Asian characters in movie adaptations.
Oh, sure. Ghost in the Shell.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
Where are those people? Okay. Because that's my point. Is like, you have a problem with this, but you didn't have a problem with that, or you didn't have a problem with, back in the 50s and 60s when you had, really horrible stereotypical depictions of other races by white people. So yeah, that's my point.
The only interesting thing that I've heard regarding this, which was from somebody talking about, it was actually a black person talking about this from the perspective of, this is cool.
Yeah.
But why, instead of us getting more original black characters that are already black,
absolutely,
why do we just need to, basically, it's like, this will be accepted. It's like, okay, it's a black person playing a white person thing. Yeah. It's still a white thing at its core. It's like a big thing with comic book stuff.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of, black superheroes focused outside of Black Panther or like Luke Cage.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade. There's a lot of stuff. Or you could just create new stuff.
Well, right there, creating new stuff is hard.
Totally.
But I'm being honest with you. That's Hollywood.
It's not hard. It just takes more time than they want to spend.
No, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, it's hard for them. I'm not saying it's hard for someone like me. It's not hard for the indie filmmaker because the indie filmmaker has nothing to gain from it.
I don't even think it's hard for them. They have all of the resources to so many people that want to do new, challenging things. But you think about, let's go back. We talked about The Fifth Element before.
Yeah.
Do you think they want to put all this money into a movie that's going to take 10 years to make?
No.
They want to give it to somebody that can churn something out in 6 months.
The other thing, too, is that the way that movies make money nowadays has changed, okay? It used to be that they could bank on a star. So you could say, okay, this movie's going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger, or it's going to have Sylvester Stallone. And all we have to do is really just sell it on that, and it'll make money. Okay. The problem is that Hollywood doesn't fucking know what is going to make money anymore. The only thing that they know is that, and this is also the reason why it's so hard, is that they are afraid of risk. They want to minimize as much risk as possible. So what do? They say, well, if we make something original, we don't have an audience that we can pull from.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only exception to this I found are horror films, because the horror genre as a whole, pretty much that's a dedicated audience. They will watch anything, and it's honestly to their detriment sometimes. But I'm being honest with you. I've as much as I am a horror fan, and I'm down to the blood a horror movie fan, been one since birth. But the reason why we have shit horror movies is because everyone gives them money.
Yeah.
If you don't want crap horror movies, if you don't want horror remakes, if you don't want Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, don't give them your goddamn money. But back to my point, Hollywood wants a dedicated audience that they don't have to really work at. So that's why they do franchises. That's why they do these properties that people are already familiar with. And that's why they're not doing original things. And that only works so far. And that's where I say where original content is flourishing is on TV. Would you think that Handmaid's Tale could be a commercial movie? Probably not. But as a series that you just pop up and it's water cooler fuel, then yeah, it will work. You could say the same thing about The Walking Dead. People love The Walking Dead, but that concept wouldn't work as a film.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is it's hard for Hollywood to create original things because they are afraid. They're afraid of failure. And they've built themselves up that if it doesn't clear 100 million or 200 million or 500 million, then it's a failure. And that's also because they bank a lot of, I think it's somewhere around the realm. I mean, my co-host has told me the numbers in this, but I think it's around half of the budget that you see for a film that gets made. So if you see a movie that's like, okay, this movie cost $200 million to make, okay? Half of that budget is marketing.
Oh,
half.
Oh, for sure.
Half of it.
Yeah.
So you're spending all this money on a film, and if it doesn't get an audience, it's a failure, even if it gets somewhat of an audience. If it's not a, knocked out of the park, home run, it's not going to work. And that's why I say it's a problem. So getting back to your original question, Disney is doing this for two reasons. One, they do want to be on the more progressive side of ideology. And that's fine. I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with having an African-American Little Mermaid. Why the hell not? So they're doing that for two reasons. One, makes them look good. Okay. Two, generates buzz for the film. Okay. Is it wrong that they're doing that for those reasons? Yeah.
It's like a social equivalent to Sonic's human features,
yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's the same, just get people talking.
But that's, I mean, my other co-host Elaine would say, it's for the wrong. It's the right thing for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Part of me, it's like
there's no altruism to this.
It's like how much of this is just pandering.
It is a little bit,
but like at the same time, I think it's just cool.
I want to see it now.
It just bums me out that Disney isn't pulling all of those resources to keep making new things for kids of this generation. Like, it's awesome. I'm glad there's a live action Beauty and the Beast and an Aladdin and now a Little Mermaid. And I think we're getting a Lion King, right? Like, they're doing all this shit. We're getting
Lion King, which they said, I guess early reviews came out and they said that it was very uncanny valley. If you're familiar with that, it's basically the concept of when you're a human and you can, kind of see the unhuman features.
Yeah.
And it kind of is weird. So they said it's very much like that.
Yeah.
Well, you're also getting a live action Mulan too.
Yeah, that is true. And there was so many cool, even though the majority of Disney stuff was just reworkings of old stories, why not just keep doing that?
Because they have a bottom line.
Yeah, it's just a bummer.
It's a bummer, and that's why I say if you don't like it, don't give them your goddamn money. That's how you stop it. That's why reality TV is no longer as popular as it was even like 10, 15 years ago. Because no one watches it anymore. What are they watching? They're watching streaming.
Oh, yeah. Instagram Live, Snapchat.
Well, no, not just that. I'm talking about like Netflix and, Hulu and Amazon Prime. Do you find that there's reality TV on those platforms? There's not really. Not really. No. There's original
cooking
content.
Shows.
There's cooking shows, but what I mean is like because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that, reality TV is not being made nearly as much. And that's how you stop any of that stuff.
That kind of goes back to almost like the American Pie discussion, where a lot of the stuff that's sold reality TV, I think, is kind of not kosher now.
No, it's not. Yeah, Jersey Shore. yeah, that's way inappropriate.
Yeah,
way inappropriate. I when I was in college, we went to the National Association of Broadcasters convention. It's in Las Vegas, and the keynote speaker of the education portion of that were two editors for The Surreal Life.
I remember that. Was that Paris Hilton and that was
that's The
Simple Life.
That's The Simple Life. The
Surreal Life.
Surreal Life was on MTV, and it was horrible. They basically got like Z-grade actors and has-beens, and they put them in a house just to see what shit happened.
So Real World, but with
terrible people.
C-list actors.
Terrible people.
Sure. Okay.
Like they had Vern Troyer in there.
Okay.
And like
this is ringing a bell.
Yeah, you probably remember it.
So like Real World mixed with Celebrity Apprentice mixed with Jersey Shore.
And the movie Freaks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So listening to these editors talk was the most infuriating thing as a filmmaker, because all the bullshit associated with reality TV was just exposed, and they were proud of it. They're just proud of it. And like, oh yeah, we, usually, and I remember this clear as day, they were like, oh yeah, usually we would follow a script and things like that and actually do the creative process of doing pre-production. Yeah, we don't do that anymore. And I'm like, okay. Like, and they were like, oh, we would just cut stuff together and make the story as we go. I'm like, that's really sad. Like,
sure.
And disappointing.
Yeah.
Because especially as someone who's studying film and TV and you're just like, oh, so if I just throw shit in a blender and just call it a day, it's good, right? Because that's what these assholes are doing. So I just getting back to reality TV, like it's a kind of, idiot fuel.
I was never a huge fan. I'm glad that I was kind of, by the time MTV turned into like that reality thing, like I was out of high school.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't really watching TV or anything like that. That's probably when I was in like my deepest cinephile phase,
Nice.
If I wanted anything, it was probably like the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
So, wrapping things up here momentarily, I would just probably call it quits right now, but we still have a little bit of beer that I feel like we can finish. So since we're going to be here, we might as well keep recording.
Sure, why not?
I had made some notes about things that I wanted to just kind of chat with you about. Sure. And I mean, we really kind of like already touched up on most of them naturally just because we're kind of on the same page with a lot of things. Yeah. But one more Disney thing that I think we can kind of wrap up the conversation with, because it's a bit of a hot topic right now. Mm-hmm. And it's in relation to the Disney parks and Star Wars, which we had talked about before. Okay. Galaxy's Edge. Have you been keeping up with?
I have not.
So for those that don't know, Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars themed land in Disneyland and coming to Disney World in August. It opened up in California Disneyland last month, and it's a flop. Nobody's going.
That's sad.
Like the park's pretty much dead.
That's
and
really
it's
sad.
It's pretty crazy from all the stuff that I've read and been looking into.
How the hell does that happen?
So
seriously,
there's a lot of people online, all throwing out their 2 cents regarding this. I think the main reason it happened is because the whole land it's based around the Disney era Star Wars.
Oh.
So you're not there's no Darth Vader and any of that shit there.
Well, right there, that's like
a
problem.
A huge demographic of the people that people that actually have spending money to go, there's no real reason to go other than just kind of a curiosity. But the price tag on going to Disney, especially if you don't live in California or Florida, like me and Stacy, my girlfriend, we're going to Disney World in September. Yeah. And I mean, I'm already a few $1,000s into paying off this trip. I mean, we started saving and paying it off in December. That's how you got to do it. So it's just like a little bit every couple,
My wife has wanted to go to Disney. She went with her oldest son and her ex-husband before we met. And, it was expensive just doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to take like everybody.
If you're taking the whole fucking gang, bro.
And it's like, well, that's really expensive. That's going to be like, the cost of an arm.
Oh, yeah.
Literally.
You're going to get on that, dude, for sure. I
love your sound effects.
Even the thing is, like, even just taking me and my girlfriend, like, it's a lot of money. So, I mean, imagine it's like, spending all that money to basically go to what I have deducted as a glorified gift shop.
I got to ask you.
It's a giant gift shop.
I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you like the past 2 Star Wars films that came out?
I just don't see any need for them.
No.
That's the thing. You know what I mean? It's like
I do see a need, but I
see a need for Star Wars, but not Star Wars run by Disney. And I don't even have a problem with Disney.
Yeah.
I just don't think that because there's like the thing that was so great about Star Wars was that like that rebel spirit.
Yeah.
And Disney's not good at telling stories of rebel spirit.
Well, they're the fucking Empire. That literally is it. Like, Disney is the Empire.
Yeah.
That's it. You want to know who Palpatine is? Palpatine's fucking Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. And
Palpatine's Mickey Mouse.
I mean, like, I've never been to Disney World, and like,
neither have I. I've been to Disneyland. I grew up in California. I lived there for a time.
Okay.
And Disneyland was down the street from us. So
I mean,
yeah.
I love like old school Disney stuff, and like, you know, to an extent, I'm not obsessive, but I want to go just to go. Like, I grew up around that stuff. I like it. And
I want to go to Galaxy's Edge. I would want to go to that, but
I'm stoked to go. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, everything in it is just glorified gift shops.
See, what they should have done was done similar to what I think it was Universal did with The Simpsons.
Okay.
Where with The Simpsons, they built Moe's Tavern and all this other spot, all the iconic spots. Yeah. Why couldn't you do Mos Eisley?
Oh, yeah. You have Oga's Cantina.
No.
Who cares?
No one wants that.
I think that's the thing. I think that's where they really dropped the ball.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious though, because this could be hopeful, because Disney World's version that is supposedly mirror each other. It hasn't opened yet. And I mean, it's only been a month now. So I'm curious to see how they like shift things, if they do, or if they're just going to stick to their guns and be like, you know what, fuck you, this is what we're doing.
Here's the thing. I think with a theme park, it's easier to shift gears than with a movie franchise. Excuse me. So like, I'll give you an example. When The Last Jedi came out, you had a very loud and very, I'd say, a large sect of people who watched that film who lost their fucking mind.
Oh, yeah, children.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, angry at the film. I'm not talking children.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't hate that movie.
I didn't mind it. I didn't fall asleep.
I was entertained.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what do I go see a movie for? Primarily to be entertained. Okay. Do I see faults with it? Absolutely. You know, but that's kind of where I'm at, is as a person who studied film, I see plot holes like
totally,
and all over the place.
When you're dealing with something like Star Wars, you still got to remember that, like, regardless of you being maybe somebody in your 30s, this isn't made for you.
No,
this is made for fucking
children. Yeah.
That's it.
But the people who lost their fucking minds and like were cursing Kathleen Kennedy out and cursing Rian Johnson out and all this other bullshit. Basically, they're the incel motherfucker guys, you know?
Sure.
You know, those guys. And I say guys because a lot of them were.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, they don't. I mean, because of that reaction.
Oh, dude,
you know,
I knew as soon as, like, whenever I watched Force Awakens and just seeing like how strong of a character Rey was.
Force Awakens was designed to do one thing, and I've said this to people all the time. I'm like, if you were expecting Force Awakens to blow you away, that's not what it was designed to do. It was designed to help erase the memory of the prequel films. That's the only mission it had.
Sure.
Get your reset. That's it.
I wish I could cue up the Men in Black theme song right now.
That's it, though. But my point is that trying to readjust a franchise is hard. So after Last Jedi, you now have it where they've got JJ back in because they said, well, he did a great job with Force Awakens. Let's see if he can move it in a way that will appeal to the children, if you will, who were butthurt and angry over Last Jedi. So that's why you have Palpatine now coming back. And that's why they're now pushing heavy into the Sith stuff, because they think that's what people want.
Yeah.
And I think to some degree, they're probably right. But I think with a theme park, it's easier, you know, because you can very easily like readapt things and say, okay, you know, whatever the hell, what's the cantina now called now?
Oga's Cantina.
Okay. So Oga's Cantina, I guarantee you, okay, mark my words, after another month of no one showing up, they will find a very quick way of turning that into Mos Eisley.
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly.
It wouldn't be hard.
No. Change some puppets around.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
I mean, I think that
Oga's Cantina. Who the hell comes up with that shit?
I think that they'll probably, the other thing too is that right now, I think the land will probably do better once it's fully opened, because there's a second ride that's not opened yet.
Okay.
And I think the Star Wars hotel is not open yet.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds really awesome.
Those two things actually are like the coolest sounding things, because the second ride, which is Rise of the Resistance, I think it's from my memory, it's actually 3 rides in one.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 different rides where like you're basically like, you're taken on like this basically like this half-hour sort of journey where it's like you're in Star Wars, like going through like from like a chase to like finding somebody and like it's like a whole thing.
So they kind of make it very immersive.
It's supposedly a very immersive experience.
Wow.
Right now the only ride that's in Galaxy's Edge is the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which is basically just like a glorified one of those like virtual reality, like at the Science Center where like you get in the thing that moves and there's just like the screen. It's probably like,
so it's like the Back to the Future ride from back in the day.
Yeah. It's probably like top notch technology.
Oh yeah.
And regarding that, because, like screens are so high def and perfect and they probably have the sound like super sick and everything probably vibrates the right way or whatever. But that's not enough for me to give a shit.
No. And that's the thing is I think they have to strike a balance. You want to introduce.
I almost wish that they just would have waited and just opened it all up at once.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the smart thing, but they want to make money.
I think another thing too, I think some people probably got scared because they really hyped it up. Like, it's going to be so sold out and blah, 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 blah. I actually booked our trip to Disney World because they had it announced the opening dates. Yeah. And actually, I pushed our trip because we were originally going to go in October. Yeah. I pushed it to September because I wanted to miss Galaxy's Edge opening. It's like,
because you didn't want to get hit with all the lines and shit.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I mean, like, it'd be cool to see it, but I've never been to Disney World at all. I have plenty of other things
Same here.
to see first.
I've never been to Disney World either.
I don't give a fuck about the Star Wars thing. I'll see that
later.
I've
got to go to fucking Epcot, man.
Yeah,
okay,
so
I got to go there.
I was, but they ended up announcing the opening date for it, and it ended up being in the time frame that we were going to be there, and I was like, shit. Like, fuck. But, like, so I've been really keeping an eye on it now, and but it seems like, I don't know, like, nobody's really that interested in going.
That's sad. That's really sad.
It is sad.
I mean,
I'm sure they'll
give it time. I guarantee you they will retool it.
They're going to have to. They spent like $2 billion on it.
The bare minimum, they're going to have some asshole in a Darth Vader costume walking around when it's 90 degrees out. Okay. Yeah. That's what they're going to do at bare minimum. Someone will be there Darth Vadering it. Okay. With some classic stormtroopers all around him.
Yeah.
And then, Mickey Mouse will branch out.
I will say there is some cool things that I've heard. Like all of the cast members that work in the land are very aggressive about staying in character. Like, so there's a lightsaber shop.
They're
Galaxy's
aggressive
Edge.
About staying in character.
In terms of like, okay, so there's a lightsaber shop in Galaxy's Edge. And you could go there and you can go build your own custom lightsaber.
Nice.
Granted, I've been here. It costs $200.
Oh.
And there's been multiple people talking about how their lightsaber stopped working before they even left the park. But with
the Force is not with them.
No. That's so. With all that being said, though, if you were to ask a cast member where the lightsaber shop is, they'll pretend like you don't know where they're talking. They don't know what you're talking about. Like, because like nothing's marked. There's no text anywhere. It's all in like weird like Star Wars language.
Star Wars language, yeah.
It's all like in that language, and like if you like, hey, do you know where I can get some scrap metal? Like, if you talk to cast members in like code, they'll guide you.
Oh God!
And like I was like, that's cute, but also kind of corny.
Well, let me ask you this: are they at least gonna like tell people that? Because if I go into Star Wars land and I don't know that shit, it's going to get really annoying real fast. I'm going to say, just tell me the fucking lightsaber is that, asshole. Like, that's what I would go to.
Supposedly not,
Especially if I've got all my kids and then, the screaming baby. I want to know where the fucking lightsaber shop is at.
I'm only going off of some blogs that I've seen, and those blogs probably get some money from Disney, so who knows what story they're telling.
You know what? They don't have to be Jared Leto with Suicide Squad on this shit, okay?
Oh, God.
Did you hear the behind the scenes of that?
No.
Oh, did you see Suicide Squad?
No.
Okay, so Jared Leto thought that if he was method, he would be a better Joker. So he played horrible pranks on everyone in the cast. Like, he sent used condoms to people. And, sent a dead pig to somebody because he thought, oh, yes, the Joker. If I'm method, then... and it's like, no, you're just annoying. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're telling me these Star Wars assholes are basically acting in character all method-like, Guess what? It gets old real fast.
But I mean, at the same time, you think that like you would kind of want that going to, if you were to be in that land.
Yeah.
You kind of, it's, how do you find that balance? I
think as long as you tell people what the code is. You know, when I go to Renaissance Fair, okay, when I go to a Renaissance Fair and I'm seeing everybody acting in, you know, Renaissance garb and they, you know, talking all old English shit, you know, I already know this is the world I'm in. So I remember went to the Ren Fair. Yeah, a couple of years back, and I brought up I was like, "Oh, where's the ATM?" Like, "Oh, we don't have that here. What sort of future technology is that?" So like, that's fine. I know already what I'm getting into. I don't know that shit in a Star Wars world. Okay, fair. But if they give everyone a pamphlet and say, "Talk like this if you want the lightsaber shot,"
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Not trying to be angry. I'm just saying.
That's okay, man.
If I had my 4 kids with me and a wife and everything, and we're in fucking Star Wars land, and they're like, "Oh yes, well, I don't know what the lightsaber shop is. What do you mean by that?" I'd be like, "Listen, you're gonna tell me the fucking lightsaber shop is real fast."
Sure. Oh man. So, hey man, we've been going for an hour 20. I think it might be a good time to wrap this up. We got a little bit of beer left, but you know, I have 5% battery on the camera.
Well, that's an issue there.
We should probably, consider that. So, if you're still here, you're still listening. Wait, I gotta do this right.
Hey,
and that is
there we
all,
go.
folks. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Brian Cottingbird. Thanks
Cottington.
for being Brian Cottingham. Brian, I'm just fucking with you.
Cool.
I knew it was Cottington. Cool. I knew it was Cottington. I was just playing jokes.
That's cool, man.
I was being a joker.
Yeah.
Jared Leto. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for coming over.
Thanks
really
for
appreciate it, man. I'll be back again. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the Beat 2019. Woo! Woo! Thanks for listening. Cheers to that. Yeah. And that's